you go from epiphany to epiphany every 6 months or so, and you're just thinking, all right, what's the next thing I'm going to figure out in 6 months from now that I'm thinking, why didn't I think of that 6 months ago?
Hi, I'm Tim Bratz, and every week I sit down with the top influential entrepreneurs in the country to discuss how to leave a true legacy in all things happiness, health, wealth, and wisdom. This is the Legacy Podcast. Hey guys, Tim Bratz here. Welcome to the Legacy Podcast. Today I'm sitting down with Brad Bone, who is a real estate investor, owner of Prime Buyers. He's out of California and does all their deals in Jacksonville, Florida. So from across the country, doing over 70 different real estate transactions annually, typically wholesales and novations. And we're going to be diving into deeply on how he does that from across the country, how he builds out the teams, how he builds out the systems, the different types of technologies that he uses in order to then automate a lot of these things and make sure he's got his finger on the pulse of his business while being across the country. The other thing he's got going on is he just launched a brand new technology software called RiverX AI that is an appointment setting software specifically for, well, I guess you could use it in every industry, but really they're using it in the real estate industry and just automating a lot of their appointment setting and making sure there's consistent lead flow on that front. So I'm excited to dive into all of it, man. Brad, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, dude. So let's do this. Let's start out with a little bit about your backstory, how you became an entrepreneur, how you became a real estate investor, and kind of what that journey's looked like, just kind of briefly. And then what I really want to do is just dive into the meat and potatoes of how you guys have built this out across the country, right? 3 time zones away and literally from coast to coast. You couldn't be farther away of how you're operating your business. And you guys have great systems, great process, obviously doing 70 deals a year. There's something you guys have figured out. So I want to really get granular on that side of things. But let's start out with your backstory.
Yeah, so I started about 10 years ago, 2015, almost 11 years ago now, is when we started doing our first deals. I think we did a wholesale, was our first deal. And I was working for a construction company. I had a construction management background and started doing real estate on the side. Back then, I think actually we started buying at the courthouse steps, bought 2 deals and flipped those. Those went okay, and then started doing direct mail. So then it was a lot of direct mail. Direct mail was kind of the way you marketed. And I remember, I don't think we ever got this, but I remember people talking about 8% response rates. I mean, it was a lot, it was a lot better than it was now in terms of response rates. So started doing that, picked up some deals, and then in about like we were mostly working in Bakersfield, California, which is where we live. My brother and I have a twin brother. Him and I are partners. And then 3 years later or so, we started marketing in Jacksonville. And that kind of came about from always from the beginning wanting to get out of California just because of rent laws and things like that. Just trying to build a portfolio and do business outside of California. So that was
Do you
always
guys hold
something
any
from the
properties?
beginning. What's that?
Do you guys hold any properties?
We have held some. We've sold some of them off recently, but yeah, we've done that as well.
Yeah. What attracted you to the Jacksonville market specifically?
It's in the South, and it's the Southeast was, at least when we were looking around, it was considered a great market, and it's been good. Now it's taken its hits recently, but back then it was like
specifically Florida, right?
Yeah,
Like days on
especially
market's a
Florida.
little bit longer.
Yeah.
What are you guys seeing from a market perspective as far as what are days on market are longer? Are
hmm
properties more negotiable? It's more of a buyer's market, seller's market. Like, what are you seeing specifically in that Florida market now?
Yeah, it's more of a buyer's market than it was before. But it's been like that for 2 years now, 2.5 years or so. So I think people are getting used to it. We've all kind of adapted to it, and deals still move. You just have to get better deals, better quality deals, get them a little deeper.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping that we're coming out of it. I think we should be starting to come out of it soon. Yeah, with interest rates coming
What,
down.
what you think it's primarily insurance driven or
Interest
interest rates?
rates, interest rates.
Gotcha.
Yeah, insurance too, but I think interest rates is the main thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, man. We'll see what that looks like. They were just on a meteoric rise for
Yeah.
3 years, and then they kind of stagnated for 6 months, and then they started coming back down. And Trump's talking about wanting to go to negative interest rates, which would be interesting. I mean, it
Yeah.
would give a shot in the arm to all industry, all business, and the GDP would go through the roof and
Hmm.
tax revenue probably too, but so would inflation. So it'll be
Right.
it'll be interesting to see what all that looks like and how it plays out. But I
Yeah.
think I think a lot of people, a lot of the conversations that I've been having have been kind of stagnant. Like maybe rates will come down another 100 basis points, which is like
Hmm.
1% over the course of the next 3 to 4 years. And now there's a lot more I mean, you can call it optimism of people thinking they're going to come down pretty dramatically over the
Mm.
course of the next 12, 24 months. So it'll be interesting to see, man.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about uh, going into a new market. What things changed? How did it break the system? How did it break the framework that you had to like rebuild systems, processes, teams, vendors, like all those different things in order to be able to build a business 3 time zones away, 3,000 miles away, in order to then have something that was complete? Because you guys are exclusively in Florida now, right? Like, are you
Yeah,
doing
we are.
anything in California anymore?
We're not. Yeah.
It's
So
because the
exclusively in
it's because
Florida.
the billionaire laws, man, that are about to be passed. You don't want to get taxed too high.
Right. We still pay taxes out here,
Yeah.
but yeah, back then we were still new, so we were still trying to figure it out. So I don't feel like there was like we had everything dialed and then we had to switch and fix everything. Um, One thing I think that helped us somewhat is when we started, we learned from a guy who was buying virtually over the phone, even in our own hometown. So we were used to that from the beginning, buying virtually over the phone. So when we went to Florida, it was not a huge change. The
Mm.
difference is you can't go by see the houses quite as much, but we sort of been conditioned to kind of work that way anyway. And so yeah, 2018, I think we maybe did 20 deals or something. We were still growing our business, still trying to figure things out. And so we really built it in Florida rather than in California.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I think I play a mind game on myself once in a while of like just putting these constraints in place, like
Hmm.
it's so standard that you would think, oh, let me go and look at a property and inspect a property before I ever make an offer on a property. Like that's the
Yeah.
traditional frame of mind for anybody getting into real estate. And then you realize, oh, I don't have to go and look at a property. I can make an offer and make sure we come to terms on what the big terms are of what a deal could look like. And then
Yeah.
I can go and inspect once all the heavy lifting and stuff is done because all the deals die at that point. So you're expediting the process pretty considerably if you can just go out and make offers immediately. It trims out all the time wasters, and then once you can agree on the general terms of a deal, now let me go and inspect. And it also
Mhm.
gives you a leg to stand on when you're like, oh, well, you told me it was this, this, and this, and then I went out and I found out it was actually X, Y, and Z instead of A, B, and C. Like I took you at your word, right? What are we going to do about this? And it allows you to then go to the negotiation table and say, hey, I need a credit here, or I need some sort of contingency or something in place where you can kind of renegotiate and get a deeper discount. So it's just even if you're only buying in your own backyard, even if you're buying within 2 hours of your own house, like play these games with yourself. If I
Yeah.
wasn't local, if I had to go and make offers, if I had to find someone else, like for us, we had a turnkey business back around that same time, 2015 to 2018 range, um, until we just started focusing on our own portfolio, probably 2017, 2018. And one of the things that broke our framework was we don't have to go out and even do the inspections after we lock up a property. Like we were spending 30 minutes driving there, spending an hour walking a property, spending 30 minutes driving back. It's like 2 hours. And there were people who were willing to go and do that for like $30. And
Wow.
so we created just a document that is like a walkthrough document that says, hey, what's the condition of the concrete? What's the condition of the windows? What's the condition of the roof? Go and take a picture of the furnace, take a picture of every single room, take a wide angle picture, take a close up of anything that's damaged. And like we made it foolproof. It was like a checklist, a simple process of just putting a checklist in place. And it was like a 1 or 2 page document where they had to notate every single thing on there. What about the garage? What about the landscaping? What about fencing? What about like whatever? And they had to at least take a picture of all these things and ensured that we had pictures, and ensured that there's some sort of commentary on it. And then they just uploaded it to like a Google Drive. And we were able to then go back and either renegotiate or make offers or decide to either move forward or walk away from a deal just by having that in place. And that was in our own backyard. But if we didn't ask ourselves these questions in order to break the framework and create these constraints, then we wouldn't have automated it the way that we did. So if you're listening to this and you don't have, like, just play these games with yourself. Hey, if I only had an hour a day to review the business, who would I talk to, right? What numbers, what metrics would I have to review? What financials would I have to look at? Who am I having conversations with? What systems do I need? What people do I need in place? And so what are some of those things that you put in place as you were doing this, as you were like, how did you automate some of these processes, and what are some of the things that are like really been instrumental to investing 3,000 miles away?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like I've I remember saying this. I've said this over and over, but it almost like you go from epiphany to epiphany every 6 months or so, and you're just thinking, all right, what's the next thing I'm going to figure out in 6 months from now that I'm thinking, why didn't I think of that 6 months ago? So I agree with what you're saying. I
And
think
that's
the
that's why
thing,
we're in masterminds, though, right? Like
yeah,
there's things that
yeah.
we haven't experienced yet, and we can learn from other people's experience and kind of get ahead
Mhm.
of it, right? Like I think masterminds is the only way to expedite growth on a timeline. It's like the only shortcut to getting there is having some level of mentorship or being in a mastermind.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Um, the things we started, where we really started get tighter on everything was when we really focused on our numbers and focused on our lead count, tracking that weekly, not only weekly, tracking it daily, really, and set it. We set up a Monday meeting to review the previous week's numbers, a Wednesday meeting to kind of see where we're at midweek and see if there's any adjustments we need to make. Are we low on lead count? Are we low on appointment set? And setting up a process to track all that. We weren't doing that much, back in 2018. We're just kind of like
Mhm.
deals come when they come, they sell when they sell. But driving both acquisitions and dispositions, that's such a mindset thing that made a big difference. I think, and that's not necessarily specific to investing 3,000 miles away. But I do think that the way you think about business and like, for a long time, I was just think houses just sell when they sell, and you just gotta kind of wait around for that. Well, that's a wrong way to think. So,
This episode of the Legacy Podcast is brought to you by Smart Management Property Management Software. If you own rentals or operate a real estate business, you don't need more deals. You need more clarity. Most operators are leaving money on the table, not because the asset is bad, but because the operations are loose. Rents, expenses, payroll, maintenance, it's all spread across systems, spreadsheets, and inboxes. Smart Management brings that together in one place. It gives you real-time visibility into your cash flow and operations so you can tighten up what's already working. When you see the leaks, you fix them. And that's how you make more money on the properties you already own. No guesswork, no waiting on reports, just cleaner data and better decisions. If you want to run a tighter operation and pull more profit out of your existing portfolio, check out Smart Management. Links in the description. Now, back to the episode.
that kind of stuff really changed things for us.
So explain that. Dive
Mhm.
deeper into that and
Mhm.
get granular on like, okay, well, how do you get things to move faster?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, understanding that you do have control over that. Like we can influence how quickly deals sell. So it starts out like when you're fix and flipping, you have such a long cycle that you just don't have a ton of control with that. I mean, it does, you have less control anyway. When we started doing a lot more wholesales, one of the things we realized is like, first of all, we have a 30-day cycle. So you can control your revenue just by changing your exit strategy. Change from fix and flip to wholesale, all of a sudden you're getting revenue in quicker. So that's a control that you can almost feel isn't there until you kind of look at it and say, well, why can't we just wholesale these things?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So that's one. But as far as just pushing and getting things sold, it's like go out and call buyers, don't just wait for them to come. Like, what are the actions that have to be done today to try to get it sold by this week? Um,
Yeah, I mean, there's typically just listing it as like a fishing strategy,
yeah.
and you're just putting a lure in the water and waiting for somebody to come by, and hopefully, right, they see the lure and they bite, right?
Yeah.
Versus more of hunting strategies. I like hunting strategies because you can actually control that much more, right? Let me go and knock on doors and
Hmm.
prospect for buyers the way that I prospect for sellers. And what are some strategies that you guys use in order to go out and find buyers of properties? Are you guys mostly wholesaling investment properties or owner occupied properties?
No, they're mostly wholesale properties, investment properties. Yeah.
So they're
Is that
investment properties to investors who are buying them
right?
distressed in order to then fix and
Right.
then resell them,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So that's obviously a buyer's list that you can create
Yeah.
and curate and
Hmm.
grow. And what are some ways that you guys grow that list in order, let's say somebody's listening and they're
Hmm.
like, I want to move this apartment complex or I want to move this property that's been sitting on the market in this specific zip code. What are a couple things that they can do in
Yeah.
order to then grow their buyer's list and be able to go and knock on those doors?
So one of the ways is we pull a list from like Property Radar or something like that of buyers in a market, and we were doing that once a month. We would pull that list, figure out who's the big buyer in the market this month, and a lot of times it might be a hedge fund or something like that, especially a few years ago, and then rank them by who are the top buyers and go like, do I know these people? Did someone just come in from out of state all of a sudden and start buying up a bunch of houses in Jacksonville and I need to get to know them? And sometimes there's a little hunting that goes on there because you got to figure out what their LLC is, try to find them on Facebook, whatever. So that's one way that's been good is just kind of snipering the buyers, the kind of the hot buyers that come in.
And you're doing that by pulling a list, look in a
Yeah.
certain zip code, and it's showing, the same name keeps on popping up, buying
Yeah.
properties in a
Yeah.
certain street or a certain zip code in a certain city for a certain price point, and you're realizing, okay, these are definitely wholesale deals or flips, fix
Yeah.
and flips, or they're buying it for their own investment portfolio.
Right. Right. Yep. That's
And then
one
you're
way.
skip tracing, you're pulling up phone numbers, pulling up
Mhm.
emails, knocking on doors, just trying to figure out who the actual decision maker is and reaching out to them
Mhm.
directly.
Yep.
And then once you have
Um,
that, now they're on an email database, and you can then fire those out um,
right.
when you get new deals.
Yeah. Yeah. So then curating that buyers list, have a buyers list that you're always building. I think a move and we didn't build a buyers list for a long time because we didn't think of ourselves as wholesalers. But if you're just relying on the Facebook groups, I mean that'll get you so far. But if you can start to capture those leads into your own buyer list on Constant Contact or something like that. Another way that a lot of people do is just go scrape the Facebook groups. I mean, I think
Mhm.
that's a way to build it up. Another real simple thing that doesn't take any effort is on your email that you send out whenever you have a deal, have a sign up link right there where so you're sending it to someone who's already on your list, but then they're going to forward it to one of their friends or forward it to a realtor, and that link's going to go with that email. And we
Good
get
point.
people signing up, every week. There's a handful of people signing up from that link. Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
That's good, man. You had mentioned something along the lines of hedge funds buying.
Hmm.
So Trump recently put out a statement that he's going to stop hedge funds from being able to buy single family homes in the United States anymore.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
It, it's a slippery slope, I think, when you start doing that because First of all, I think it's a wrong premise. I don't think it's the hedge funds that drove up prices. It's government spending, COVID. The hedge funds just came in and capitalized. And I know that there's stories about hedge funds way overpaying and all that. I get that. There's some stories about that. But I think to point the finger at the hedge fund and say they're the reason why America can't afford houses. No, they just capitalized on something that happened. And if it wasn't them, I mean, everyone else was wanting to buy too. It wasn't just the hedge funds. Everyone in the country was trying to buy houses. So if it wasn't them, someone else would have been buying and housing would still
Other
be as
investors, you're saying, right?
other investors, everyone. I mean, even people trying to buy, for themselves.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's the idea behind it is people can't buy for themselves because they got outbid by hedge funds, and the
yeah,
supply then reduces. And now because
mhm,
there's less supply, there's still this much demand, prices have gone up. And so seems like that's the general understanding of why they want to cut out the hedge funds. Now, obviously, he didn't
yeah,
put out any details on it, at least
yeah,
not at the time of this recording of um, who he's limiting, right? Can somebody who owns 3,000 apartments still go and
mhm,
buy single family houses also, or am I precluded from doing that?
right,
Um, Somebody
right.
who's flipping or wholesaling 100 houses a year, can you go and buy single family houses? At what point does it become limiting to the owner occupant, which is what they're looking for? But I mean, the reality is there's 4 million housing units short, anywhere from 3.7 to 4.5 million
Mhm,
housing units short right now. And builders have been pencils down for the past 3 years. So there's no housing product coming online. And if it is coming online, it's all luxury stuff because you can't make any friggin'
yeah,
money from a $300,000 house anymore. And so there's no workforce housing in the entire country for at least the next 3 years, and we're going to be at 7 million housing units short in a few years from now. So, what does that look like, and how do we make it more affordable for
yeah,
workforce people to live?
yeah. I think to get back to the hedge fund thing, I think it's really the devil's in the details on that because if they're basically becoming a monopoly and just buying everything, then that's one thing. My feeling on it though is it's really a supply problem. And it's that regulations have made it to where we haven't been able to build like we should. If we'd have been able to build like we should, anybody can buy houses, including the hedge funds. Everyone would be fine. But because there's already this supply shortage, because of external factors, way before the hedge funds, that's what drove up the prices. So I don't know. How do you fix that? I think COVID didn't help. Inflation didn't help, and then just making it easier for people to build, I think is at least that's the problem in California. California has historically had a very big shortage of houses, and it's really a regulation thing on the builders. It's just hard to build affordably, and that's not because the hedge funds are buying. That's because you just can't get the supply.
No, I
So
agree. I think
yeah,
it's how do you limit. I don't agree with the capitalist. I don't agree with the non-capitalist side of it, right? Like I don't
hmm,
agree that you can limit someone from going out and growing their business and building their business and all that stuff. The limitation is when it becomes unaffordable for 50% of the
yeah,
population. Dude, now
yeah,
you're in a pretty tight spot, and maybe there does need to be government regulation. I don't know. I'm
hmm,
not I'm not
hmm,
speculating
yeah,
either way, but I think a better way instead of putting more constraints on your citizens, on your investors, on your entrepreneurs, and on that side. It's how do we make it easier for them to do business in order to create more supply? And that's
yeah,
if we can if
yeah,
we can solve the supply problem, then it's not an issue with how many houses
right,
these hedge funds want to buy, and they don't want to freaking buy it because there's too much supply and not enough demand for them
yeah,
to make money. So now they're not even interested anymore if there's more supply. So if you can find a way to incentivize builders to build, the issue is it's too friggin' expensive, right? Like,
hmm,
uh, even land prices have gone up pretty dramatically, but it's still feasible, right? If you drive a little bit outside into the, second, third ring suburbs or into like more rural type areas when you see the suburban spread, You can get some decent land, uh, but the labor cost is so expensive. The
Yeah.
impact fees in order to build is so expensive, and connecting to the city utilities and those kinds of things. And are there grant programs? Are there just less red tape so that way you can expedite the timelines? If you don't have as much holding time for the development side of things, and you can get something built in 90 to 180 days as opposed to 2 to 3 years, dude, that substantially reduces the amount of holding costs on taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, your cost of capital. And by reducing those holding time frames, by greasing the wheels of progress of being able to get approvals pushed through and move forward on some of these developments, dude, that alone would make a big impact on the ability for developers to then build more houses. And so it's
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's interesting, but like there's
Yeah.
always this string of other repercussions or other
Yeah.
impacts to different industries, and how does it all happen? And is there other um, corruptness or things happening
Mm.
in the city level or in a municipal level or whatever? And
Mm.
what does that all look like? So, I'm not pretending to be an economist, but I think those are the main
Yeah.
friction points that I've seen in business too.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to kind of blame the wrong problem. I remember, and you still hear this sometimes. It's like, well, why aren't builders building cheaper houses? Those builders they're too profit hungry. They just want to build the luxury stuff. It's like, well, they'll go broke trying to build affordable housing. So
You literally can't do it.
you can't do it. So it's not that they are just greedy. It's that that's the only way to make any money is to do it that way. So the problem is somewhere else. And I think you're right. I think it's the red tape and it's all of that. One thing that California has done that I think is good is made it easier to build the ADUs. So that's providing more supply, like an easy way to provide more supply. There's
Mhm.
investors that are doing a lot of that, like down in LA and San Diego, which is I think interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a very clean and simple way to add a
Mhm.
lot. I mean, like literally you can double your housing supply. Now they're all
Yeah.
one bedroom or studio
Hmm.
apartments, but it does really open you up in order to have more housing in great locations that are already like,
Yeah.
because you can't go and build more in the city centers and all that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
you have to figure out and work with what you've got. And ADUs are a great way to do it. And for anybody watching, it's an additional dwelling unit. It's like putting an apartment above your garage, um, and creating great housing for that. The I think it'll be interesting, right? Like one of the things that we're looking at in the multifamily space is like just like you can't build single family homes for less than $300,000 a pop, like you can't build a multifamily property for less than about $175,000 a door. And so if you can go into and dude, there's nothing that's taking it on the chin the way that like B class, C class, like 70s vintage apartments have over the past 3 years.
Hmm.
Just been clobbered and uphill battle in a big way. But I think the tide's going to turn in a big way also, because you literally can't buy or you can't build an apartment complex for less than $170,000 a door, and you can buy them for
Yeah.
$70,000 a door. So if you can figure out a way to go and buy them for 70,000 a door, put 20 grand into them, which is a lot of money for a renovation on an apartment, 20 grand per door you're in for $90,000 a door. The new competition is double that price, and you can have half the amount of rent, generally speaking, and attract a lot of quality tenants that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing. And the other thing that we're looking at is condo conversions. Like nobody's talked about condo
Oh,
conversions
really?
in
Yeah.
almost 20 years,
Yeah.
and but because of where pricing is right now, we're like, well, guess what? These cities desperately need housing. Builders aren't coming in and building in some of these different towns. We have the housing units there. They want home ownership to create more stickiness in their local
Hmm.
community, and people want to be able to afford something. So like we own some apartment complexes that are kind of townhome structured, and
Hmm.
even the ones that aren't, like we could still sell them as condos. And so let's say it costs us an extra $10,000 per door. Our cost basis is 70 or $80,000. If we can sell these things for 120 grand a pop, dude, it makes a lot of sense to be able to do that, right? Throw the HOA in place, do the condo conversion. There's some, you know, hoops to jump through with existing lenders and opening up or
Hmm.
releasing partialities of the loan and things like that that we'd have to figure out. But I think, you know, the desperate need from a lot of these municipalities in order to have workforce housing and more home ownership in their communities. I think a lot of them are going to be very open to doing that. And that could be a huge opportunity for folks. So like we're going down that path. I'll keep you posted on how it looks.
Yeah, that's
Might be
interesting.
too much red tape, but I do
Yeah.
think there's going to be a lot of movement towards taking hairy, painful deals, renovating them, and then selling them off to the tenants. The tenant
Mhm.
now is a homeowner. They're paying relatively the same amount of money on a monthly basis for owning than they were renting.
Yeah.
And again, it's great for the city because it creates more stickiness, and it's great for us as the developer or owner and seller of the properties because now we're taking something that was a loser and making it a winner, or something that was already above break even, now making it like a home run. So um, I know a lot of multifamily guys could use a break on that side of things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think there's some space there. So,
Yep.
dude, let's pivot a little bit to you said something earlier in the interview, and I know this um, could be a lead in also to your RiverX
Hmm.
AI software, but the deal flow, right? I think
Hmm.
one of the things that people and investors, myself included, make a mistake with is you market, you get a boatload of deal flow, you stop the marketing, you work the deal flow, and then once you're done with the deal flow and you're selling all these things off, you're like, oh shoot, there's no more deal flow coming in. I gotta
Yeah.
start it again. But now you're 90 days delayed, and you have these feast and famine cycles of going back and
Hmm.
forth because you're not consistently marketing for deal flow. Talk a little bit about how you've standardized that, and I'd love to learn more about what you guys are doing with RiverX AI.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all starts with marketing, being consistent with marketing and knowing, being realistic about how much deal flow your marketing will bring you. So one thing we made a mistake of is trying to expect more from our marketing than was really feasible. So figure out what that is, how much you need to spend to get the deals you want every month, and then commit to that. So it starts there. And then when the leads are coming in, yeah, so as far it just working those leads and being, we've learned this the hard way too. It's just like how important follow-up is, and and staying on top of them. And the truth is, like, you can do it with humans, like you can do follow-up, but it takes more people, it takes a lot more effort. With AI now, we can automate a lot of that in ways we never have before. Even in the past 12 months, AI has come a long way in how it can handle follow-ups and voice calls, SMS, and email follow-up, and then just setting the goal being to set the appointment.
hmm
So,
So
yeah.
take me through the process, right?
Mhm.
If I'm utilizing the software, how does it start? Like, how do I input leads? How do I like? Is it driving leads for me? Am I buying leads and inputting, um, uh, lists or like? Take me
Yeah,
through the process.
good question. So
Start to
our
finish
plat,
from
yeah,
the time you get the software, getting rolling with it to lead flow coming in, me going out and closing deals.
yeah. So our platform's really built for handling your database leads and your inbound leads. So AI it's pretty gray, kind of sketchy, probably really kind of illegal to use it for like cold outbound. You can't turn on an AI voice bot and just let it hammer, cold outreach. That's definitely illegal. SMS has gotten a lot harder as well. So same thing, just the way you can't really blast SMS anymore, can't do that with AI. So ours is built for re-engaging your database and then handling your inbound leads. So the way we do it is we have it's a totally separate platform that really works with your CRM. It can integrate with your CRM, or it can just kind of sit right in front of your CRM between the lead the lead coming in and the CRM itself. So lead comes in, the platform has a bunch of workflows that we've built out, like new workflows. So a new lead comes in, it's going to get an immediate text if it's a web form, immediate text, immediate email, and work that for the day. If we don't get a response, that turns into an unresponsive lead, and then that's going to get another workflow. So AI just continues to work those leads until there's a appointment set. Once an appointment is set, it turns off automations because we don't want to be annoying sellers. The output is the appointment set. You can then roll those back into follow up if you want, but that's depending on if you're integrated, that can happen automatically or it can be a manual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What sort of results are you guys seeing with it?
We've been pretty consistent with our own business in getting 2 to 3 extra deals a month from
Wow.
AI. Yeah, AI follow up and yeah, mostly AI follow up. So we're still doing manual follow up. I think it's still good to have a culture of getting on the phone and trying to talk to people.
Yeah.
So this is not going to completely replace everything, but it replaces the heavy lifting of it. A lot of our clients get, anywhere from 1 to 3 extra deals a month, depending on the volume, depending on how many follow-ups they have and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it reduces human error. It
Hmm.
reduces the redundancy in tasks and having
Yeah.
to do the same thing over and over again. It reduces the uh, amount of time obviously spent
Hmm.
where now your salespeople can be on the phone, banging out phone calls, talking to real motivated leads, as opposed to just trying to sift through question marks,
Yeah.
What do you guys have it priced at?
So there's 4 different plans. If you're brand new, don't have very many leads, I think the lowest plan is about $200 a month,
Gotcha.
and it goes all the way up to 1,200, 1197, almost $1,200 a month.
Yep.
And that's unlimited contacts. That gets you voice as well. The low plans don't come with voice, so yeah, most people are going to be
But
either
what's
in
what's
the
your average wholesale or novation fee?
25,000.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, even at the highest price tag, if you do one deal every two
Yeah.
years from it,
Oh
it
yeah,
pays for
yeah.
itself.
It's a huge. We're probably underpriced, but there's definitely platforms that are double that.
Hmm.
In fact, we were working with one over the past year that was almost double that. So
Can
um,
this work for Dispo too?
it can work in the sense of re-engaging your buyers and kind of like, hey, are you still buying? What's your criteria? All that. It's I haven't quite figured out a way to use it to sell a specific deal because
Yeah, that's what I
the
was going to
copy
ask.
has
Is
to
like, could
change
I
every
sell an
time.
apartment complex with this, or
Mm-hmm.
reach out to a list, or something along those lines? If I have a specific deal and I already have a list, like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the best way to attack that, or is there a way to attack that with it yet?
So there's not like a seamless way to do that because if you really this thing is best for you have a big list and you want to set appointments for those people. So it's kind of like unless it was a vague message like, hey, I've got some deals. Do you want to jump on a phone call and go through the list we've got or something like that? But if you have because the way it works is that initial outbound message is a message that is part of the workflow. We haven't figured out a way for AI to grab the address, all the information, push it out. You know what I mean? That'd be a lot more going on. So
Yeah, man, that'd be cool though.
yeah, yeah.
So we'll kind of bring it home with
Mhm.
what is goals for the next 12 months? Like, what are you guys looking to do? What are you guys looking to accomplish? Sounds like you got some good stuff going on with RiverX AI
Yeah.
and maintaining the existing real estate portfolio. You got some big
Mhm.
ambitions over the next 12 months, or kind
Yeah.
of maintain the status quo, focusing on certain things? What does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, it's really push RiverX AI. I mean, we really want to push that hard this year. Now that we're on our own platform, and we feel like we're priced right for a lot of people. So that's going to be a big push. I want to get to 100 new clients here by the end of quarter one if we can make that work. So and then on the real estate side, we'd like to get above 2 million. We're just under 2 million this year. I'd like to be at 2.5 million gross revenue this year.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
awesome, man. Where do you see the market? You think it's going to be solid? You think it's going to
I
be
think it's
tough? Do you think you don't give a shit and we're going to keep on moving forward either way?
I think it's probably going to be about like I would say I'm always a little bit optimistic, but I think it's probably be a little better than last year, but I don't think it's going to get super hot or anything the way it was in 21.
Hmm.
So probably about the same is my guess. Yeah.
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 Dude, control the controllables, right?
Yeah.
Keep on putting out the marketing, keep on working leads, bring in
Yeah.
deal flow, keep on raising capital, work on the dispo list, work on your refining your operations if you're going to buy and hold. Like, dude, Focus
Hmm.
on the things that you can actually control. Don't worry about all the speculation and all the other stuff.
Right. Good
Cool, man.
advice.
Dude, where can everybody find you and learn a little
Yeah.
bit more about RiverX AI?
Yeah. So you can go to riverxai.com is our website. I'm on Facebook. I'm probably connected to all your friends. And yeah, Brad at riverxai.com is my email address.
Awesome, buddy. Well, dude, thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing some insights on what you're seeing in the markets and what you're seeing on your remote operations. And super excited for you on the RiverX AI stuff. That sounds, I'm down the path of technology and
Yeah.
software. I never thought I'd be down that path, but got partnered up with the right people and started building out my property management
Hmm.
software, smart management, and totally get it, man. It's very, very exciting. It's new. It
Yeah.
aligns with what our expertise already is. And so it's just like, feels like a lot of breadcrumbs have kind of like led to this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely.
So
Yeah.
good stuff. Brad,
All right,
appreciate you
Tim.
being here, man. Take care. And
Thank you.
appreciate you guys being here. If there's any questions you have, or make sure that you want to connect with Brad, we'll share his contact information in the show notes, and we'll see you guys next week on the Legacy Podcast.